guys, it's HeySofia and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to build a camping site in Minecraft. So shout out down below to WECui, Unitator and Akesh who requested that I do this video. I actually came up with this complete design probably only a few months into doing YouTube, but I just never filmed it or did the tutorial, so I have rebuilt it now for you guys and I'm revisiting the idea. A build like this is really good if you've got a little bit of like empty space in your world where you're wanting something a little bit interesting for people to look at or see. But let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is build the tent for our little camping site. Now today I'm going for a native Indian American style tent where they have those teepee tents. I think it's quite cool and fun. Now for that today I have got the spruce fence post and I have gone 7 blocks high and put a quartz block on top. And for the base I'm going for the cyan blue concrete block just because I like the color. You can choose whatever color you like for your teepee though. Now from the fence post you want to go 4 blocks out on either side and place a little concrete block there and then make it 3 blocks wide just like I am now. Once you have them 3 blocks wide, you then just want to join them up with blocks in between like this, just 2 to make a perfectly round circle. Now for the top layers of the teepee, I'm using the quartz block and that's because I need staircases and slabs. You can use a different color if you like, but it's not going to look as pyramidy as mine would. It's going to be more chunky looking. So what you want to do next is place quartz blocks on top of the concrete block that you did, or whatever block you did. And then for the third layer of the teepee, you want to go 1 block higher on the inside like I am doing at the moment. Just the whole way around your circle. The 4th layer, you want to do the exact same that you just did. You go 1 block in and then carry that around the whole way of the circle. And for the 5th layer of our teepee, we're going to go 2 blocks high and again the whole way around the inside of our circle. This basically builds the base of your teepee. You don't need to do much beyond this. We're just going to add a few extra blocks and staircases and slabs. Now from that layer where you had the 2 blocks high, you're going to place a quartz block right there and do that on each side. You then want to grab the quartz staircase and you're going to place that on top of those blocks that you just did place, like this. We're also going to add a staircase on the first layer of quartz that we did, like this. So the first layer up on top of the 2 bottom layers, we are doing a stair. And then we're going to grab slabs, place it on either side of the layer where we place the first quartz block. Now you can see it's looking a little bit more pyramidy. And then we're going to also place a quartz slab down on the bottom of the center there as well. You can see it's really starting to get its shape, and to finish it off we're going to place some quartz staircases around the top. Now to give it a bit more room on the inside, just remove the 2 blocks that I am doing here because you can't see them from the outside anymore since we have hidden them with the staircases and the full block. And then to finish it off, you can either leave it open up the top and place a teepee, like another spruce fence post there. That gives it an exposed look, or you can do a slab like I'm going to do and that just gives it a nice little point. So that is basically your teepee done. You don't want to do too much more, otherwise it'll look a bit too cubish. Now to make an opening, you could do a single door like that, maybe add a little detail and then place a door there. Especially if you're in survival, you might want to do something like I am doing at the moment, which I think looks nice like this. But I think it just makes it look a little bit too much like an igloo. So because I'm in creative, I'm going to do something different. Instead, I'm going to remove the 3 block wide block that we originally placed and actually place the door there. Now I'm going to place some concrete down the bottom to make it look like the fabric's been pulled. And place those staircases, that way it lines up with the teepee and we have a nice opening there. So that's your little tent already done. So we're going to add a little bit of detail to the inside. just by placing the pathway block. Now the reason I do this is because the pathway block is compressed dirt or compressed land. It has a really smooth look and it looks like someone's been walking along. There's a lot of traffic in the area, like foot traffic. So I think it's really good for doing on areas where there's a lot of people and walking around, like the inside of this teepee. We're also going to do the pathway block around the outside and 2 little pathways around our campsite. The next thing we're going to do though is build our actual little campfire. Now for this, I've got the nether rack there and I've gone 2 blocks wide. I'm then going to place some stone, andesite, and also cobblestone in kind of like a round shape around it. You don't want it looking perfect, you want it kind of like a natural perfect, if that makes sense. You just want to make like a really kind of like weird, not perfectly curved round shape, just so it kind of looks like you have a campfire that's round. A bit hard to do that in Minecraft without making a really big one. I also am doing my campfire 2 blocks wide because I want to do a spit roast, but you could always make yours 1 block wide and that'd be a little bit easier to make a round campfire. I just placed some stone buttons though to add a little bit of a 3D effect. And for our spit roast, I have gone 2 blocks high with the spruce fence posts on either side and put the red terracotta block in the center there. Now that block looks like a half cooked piece of meat, like it looks like it's already been cooked a little bit, but if you want something that looks a little bit more raw looking and freshly killed, grab something like the Neverwart block. It looks like it's a dripping bloody piece of meat that's been freshly cut. So if you're wanting something a little bit more raw looking, a little bit more freshly caught, especially if your little camping ground maybe is more of a hunting camping ground, I think that's a really good choice of block for a little spit roast. And placing a few little redstone wires around it looks like little drops of blood, and I think very cute. It's that little bit more detail that just makes it look a little bit better. Now for our seating, if you have a more modern campsite, you could just do some quartz staircases to make them, but I'm going to be placing some logs to make them look like little sitting logs. Now when I like to do logs like this, I always look at the trees that are around me. So at the moment I've got lots of birch trees and oak trees, so I'm going to be placing some little oak logs. Just looks a little bit better. And something else I like to do as well when I place logs is I don't make them perfect. I don't make them match up in a perfect like round square thing. I think it looks better the less perfect they are. When you cut a tree, it's not going to be perfect. You might cut a tree that's really short, you might have one that's really long. You're also dragging them there. They're not going to match up perfectly in their cut in the way that they're placed. So I think making it mismatching around the fire looks a lot better and a lot more natural. We're also going to just continue the pathway block, like I said, around the fireplace. Again, this is another high foot traffic area where lots of people would be walking or doing things. And because we're trying to make it look like someone's camping here in the wild and that it's not just a natural human place, you want to make it look like humans have been here, and I think that's one way that you can do it. Now we're also going to be placing in our pathway block just some of the coarse dirt like we did on the inside of the teepee. I think it just makes it look a little bit better. Now the pathway I also have taken over to the river because we are going to be doing a few little river details as well. That's just a little river that I built there. And the pathway we're also taking over here to the teepee, but I sped up ahead and mixed in the coarse dirt because we're going on to our next detail. Now these are some hanging sacks. I have used the birch fence post for a rope because I think it's the most appropriate rope color. I've used brown wool for the sacks. Now this is where you would hang your food and rubbish in the trees if you did want to protect it from mobs that you would have in real life, like bears and stuff. What you want to do is directly in line with the original hanging rope you did, you want to just place some birch fence posts down and then place a birch like plank bit. I don't know if you guys think so, but I think it looks like the rope has been wrapped around the tree trunk. I think it's really cool looking, and it's a nice little detail that you can add to a tree in your campsite just to make it look a little bit different. That's something you don't have to do as well if you're in an area that doesn't have bears in real life and you don't want to do something like that. but I think it's a nice detail to do if you do want something like that. Next things next though, we're going to add details to the inside of our tent around the campsite and the river like I mentioned. Just a few things like cooking utensils that you might use while camping, even storage. First things first though, we're going to hang a banner on the stone over here. Reason for that is because you probably want to be showering if you're camping. Most people might just wash in a river or have a little shower attachment thing where you just hang a bucket and wash yourself. We're going to go for the river thing, so we're hanging a towel there to make it look like you're actually going to have a little bath or shower in the little stream. I'm also going to place a cauldron over here and just like a couple of brewing stands, some pots. It just kind of makes it look like if you're not doing a spitfire, maybe you have a cauldron and you're cooking a soup or a broth or something like that. The brewing stands also look like little cooking things, and the pots kind of just look like pots and pans, little cups that you have hanging around. I really like the look of the cauldron and the brewing stand as well because they do have a iron look or a metal look, and typically when camping you have metal utensils like cast iron and stuff like that, so I think it's also very appropriate. I'm also just going to add a chest over here in case if people were storing forks or extra cups and plates and stuff like that. Now on the inside of our teepee, I'm just going to place a crafting table because you might actually be using this for survival, some storage, a little bed. Now it would be nice to have a little kind of like sleeping bag, but it kind of falls in the ground there. So we're going to be placing our bed just like you would place a normal bed. It's also why you do the coarse dirt, so that way you can place a bed. We're also going to just make some lighting by placing some spruce little planks there and putting a torch on top, just to kind of look like little crates with candles on top or lanterns. There's no block in Minecraft that's like a really small little light source block that could look like a little handheld lantern you would have for camping. So we're going for torches, which is a little bit more older, but I think alright. Now around the campsite for our little lantern torches, we're just going to place them on 1 block high fence posts just to keep them off the ground and hanging away from grasses or fire or things like that. Now the final detail we are going to do is I will actually be speeding up ahead in a second and placing some little plants. I'm just going to be placing some bushes, some little ferns, some flowers. You just want to kind of make it look more wild for my style of campsite. If you were having a more modern campsite, you might want to add details like placing some andesite or some gravel underneath your teepee, because maybe you have a camping site where you rent a spot and then you set up your tent on that spot. But because I've got a more natural camping site, I would just want to be adding some bushes, some flowers, some ferns, stuff like that. But I sped up ahead quickly and I am placing one last detail down the bottom there. I've just got a spruce fence post and I've placed a little boat there because maybe you have a canoe or something like that. If you wanted to make it look a little bit more man-made, you could make actually like a little jetty just by placing some little spruce planks out onto the ocean and having your little boat there and your fence post there. But I think it looks nice just being a plain little simple boat. And there's our pathway finish, added some coarse dirt, but there you go you guys, there is how to build a really cool little camping site in Minecraft. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I hope you did. I had really fun building it and it's not my usual tutorial I've been doing lately, but it was really fun to do and it's a cool little kind of like decor or little filler build that you can do in your worlds to add some more interest. But like always guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Bye!